Storage Made Easy provides a control layer for object storage, creating an easily managed file fabric with policy-based controls for governance, audit, and security. For this demo, we've set up a 20-person organization called Media. I'm actually logging into a tenant. The solution is deployed in multi-tenant software. It's deployed as an appliance, virtual appliance, on-premise, in the cloud, or as a managed service. I'll log in as the admin, as I said. I'm using username and password here. This also could be tied to my enterprise identity provider, LDAP, SAML, AD, for single sign-on, and also two-factor authentication is supported. I'm going to jump to the provider dashboard. This is where we can see the storage that we have configured for the file fabric. See Cloudian object storage, regular file system, local file system, and cloud storage. SME goes out and indexes the source data to present this storage as a single namespace unified as files and folders. It can be accessed easily then through desktop applications, mobile clients, and mounted drives, for example. Let's look first at the web-based Cloud File Manager. The File Manager provides a human-friendly, perhaps familiar view into Cloudian hyperstorage. We're being able to see the objects as files and folders. If we were to create a folder, and let's do that at the top level, we're actually creating a bucket on the object side, on the hyperstore side. We can also pull some data in here. We're now updating uploading the data, running it through a virus check, and storing it on Cloudian object storage. The file fabric is asynchronously uploading this information. If we jump into one of the folders, you can see that scanning is enabled. What's happening here is after the file is checked for viruses, we look for sensitive information. We've set up a few discovery rules in this case, including social security number and credit cards, and configured it to send notifications to administrators for PII. There includes 60 rules you can choose from, and you can also create your own. Let's just refresh this. We can see this file has PII has been discovered with the icon here, and we can see exactly what data has been found. And we can see at the folder level what folders also contain may contain sensitive information. From this view, we can also see a preview of files. We can see when the file was created, modified, where it's stored. We can also add comments to the file. In addition to looking like a file system, a hierarchical file system, we also have file system semantics. We edit the file. There are a few ways of doing that. One pretty cool approach is with Cloud Edit. Cloud Edit will automatically open the local desktop application that's appropriate for that file, the Office application, and then download the file from Object Store behind the scenes. We can then make changes, save that information. The file fabric detects that has been changed, then automatically uploads that back to Cloudian Hyperstore. If we jump back, we'll just do a quick refresh of the system here. We can see now that we have version. So versions and trash are ways of offering file system semantics in terms of accidentally editing a file or overwriting a file. So we have, as we'll see a little later, a lot of flexibility in customizing how we want trash to operate and versioning. This information is also visible through a desktop drive. Before we do that, let's just jump in. We can see that on this view we're seeing the different types of storage we have available. If we jump in and have a look at an end user view, in this case the user is the archivist, we can see here's a different set of root folders, level 1 folders. Well, these represent the folders that have been shared that are accessible by this user. The one that here is in grey is read-only, and the others are read-write update. I've configured the drive on this machine as the archivist. So we'll jump to the mapped drive, and here we can see the corresponding files. Oh, but it looks like our marketing folder is not there, so let's jump into that new folder and get access. So before we do that, we'll convert that to a shared team folder. That sets it up for accepting access control permissions. Set some permissions. We can use both usernames or roles. We have the sort of the traditional read-write or updatable, and also some other features too, which are more applicable to web-based files and sharing and collaboration. We apply that at the root folder, and just like we expect, the permissions are inherited by any child folders. And we can also go into the child folders and create additional restrictions or changes in permissions. Now if we go back to the web view, we'll be able to see that we now have marketing, read-only. But what's cool is we now also have access. I'm just going to refresh. We now have access to the data that we had earlier, that we had through the web-based interface, and that's being stored on the back end. We could also take a look at the back end. Just to refresh to pick up the new shared bucket. And we can see here the files that were uploaded. The file fabric does not modify the data, so adding a file either through the S3 API or through a file-based approach through the file fabric, it's all the same. You can read through one, write through one, and read through another. So you're able to have both applications and end users collaborating on different documents. And also, so data doesn't change, and also the file names don't change as well. So, how do I share files with other users in the company or even external parties? One way, of course, is sharing links. The beauty of sharing them through the file fabric is they can be audited, tracked by IT administrators and policies. So we can share a quick link this way. Here we can configure some settings, either a short URL service like tinyurl. We could set expiry date, maybe the link's only good for 7 days. We could set other types of limits, such as a download limit. In this case, it's preset to 3 by the administrator, or rather a configuration policy. We may also set a password if we like. In this case, we'll also set up that our organizational policy may require that we need to give a reason for sharing. This creates a link here. we were to send that to someone, that would download the file that we've just shared. We also have the ability to share folders if that's appropriate for the security of the organization, and the ability to share folders for, we call them Dropboxes, to receive files from partners. So we've indexed this data across the file stores. We also have the ability to now search across the content. We have some scripts here, I know, so we might search for Romeo. We found a script, and now we can open the folder that contains that data and look at other information related to that. Under the policies area, we can see the type of control you have over, for example, the user interface, how versioning is dealt with, setting up encryption, different types of policies around file sharing. You can see we really have a breadth of options to enable you to fine-tune the support for the organizational requirements that you have.